Hey there, darling. Welcome back to the Farmer's Table. Today I am sharing a video with you guys that has been much requested. My channel here is still relatively new, and so oftentimes I'm referencing things that I'm using that I have made, and people say, how do you do that? Eventually I'll have lots of videos cataloged that I can just point you to them, but we've got to make them in order to make that possible. And today that's what we're doing. Today I want to tell you how I make vanilla extract from scratch at home. So if you are a home cook and you are doing much from scratch cooking, especially if you are doing baking, I'm sure you have come across recipes that call for vanilla extract. And if you are new to buying ingredients to cook from scratch, you may have had a little bit of a sticker shock when you went to buy a bottle of vanilla extract at the store. At the time of recording this video, I just looked it up. My local Walmart has vanilla extract on their shelf for almost $5 for a 1 ounce bottle. That's very, very small. And if you're going to do very much from scratch cooking, you can imagine that you could go through an ounce of something using a teaspoon at a time pretty quickly. So making vanilla extract from scratch was one of the very first things I did when I first started cooking from scratch. This is something I have been routinely doing for probably about 17 years now. And the few times that I've been like traveling or cooking at someone else's house and needing to go get extract from the store, when I have to pay store prices, it really grinds my gears because I've not done it for so long. Now, when I first started making my own vanilla extract, it was pretty haphazard. I just threw some vanilla beans into some liquor, and then as soon as it started to get sort of dark, I would start using it. And you can do it that way. It might not be a true extract. It might actually just be kind of like vodka with a vanilla essence in it. And it can be kind of strong. I would reuse beans. I would do all the different stuff. So you can take a very laid back approach. Today, I'm going to tell you kind of the best way to get the best outcome. But let's say you're a little short on the beans, or you need to crack into your extract a little before the allotted time. It's probably fine. I want to teach you guys the best way to do things, but I don't ever want you to be intimidated by that. There's always good, better, best, and I would rather crack into something and use a maybe subpar homemade vanilla extract rather than paying $5 an ounce at the store. So you have a lot of ways you can do this. I'm going to show you here. This is a couple of bottles that I started in March of last year. This is vanilla in bourbon, and this is vanilla in vodka. This year I'm going to do it a little bit different, and the reason I'm shooting this video today, I've been getting stuff done today, cleaning my house, and I need to get these bottles off the table. I've had them sitting here. This year I decided, since I want to put vanilla extract in Christmas baskets at the end of this year and have it for gifts, that I'm actually going to make it directly in some giftable bottles. These are 8.5 ounce bottles that I got online. And I'm going to fill all of these up. You can use mason jars, and as evidenced here, you can also just pour a little bit of liquor out and actually use the jar that the liquor came in. So you just need some sort of container that you can seal. You need some sort of liquor that is between 70 and 100 proof. So you don't want to use something like Everclear that has like really high alcohol content, because that will actually damage your extract. It won't turn out right. And you don't want to go lower than 70 proof, which lower than 70 proof, you're usually looking at like liqueurs and flavored things and stuff like that, but it's not going to extract the vanilla the way that it's supposed to. So 70 to 100 proof, and you can play around with this. So the most commonly used liquor that I had always heard about was vodka, and today I've got this big bottle of vodka. My favorite place to buy liquor for extracts like this is at Costco. If you have a Costco membership and you have one available to you, they definitely have the best prices. I can't remember how much this bottle of vodka was, but it was somewhere in the range of about $30. Today I also have a clear rum, also purchased at Costco, and I also have some bourbon. I've got this bottle that's like half gone. This is like a bourbon I use to commonly just to cook with, making sauces and stuff. And then I've got this like Texas straight bourbon. There is debate on how high quality liquor you should use when you're making homemade extracts. I get the argument that the higher quality alcohol you use, the higher quality end product you're going to end up with. However, we're talking about using like half a teaspoon to a teaspoon at the time. You know, maybe we're going to be putting in a little bit more, but for the most part, I don't personally think it matters a whole lot. So I use typically what I can get bulk for cheap for making these. And these different alcohols are going to lend their flavors to your finished product. So I like to have some of both. I usually like to have a clear liquor vanilla as well as a dark liquor vanilla. Another one that you can use that's good is spiced rum, and it is going to affect what you're cooking. So when we use like this vanilla bourbon, when we make ice cream and we put it in there, it has the faintest bourbon flavor to it. So if you don't like the flavor of bourbon, you definitely would not want to be cooking with that. If you want your vanilla extract to be very, very vanilla flavored, I would suggest going with vodka, because I think that it has the faintest flavor on the back end. But if you like a little hint of bourbon in the things that you're cooking, I think it's delicious. So that's definitely an option. As long as it's 70 to 100 proof, you're good. Next thing you're gonna need after you have your container and you have your liquor is you need some vanilla beans, obviously. So I've got a couple of packages here. I purchased these just off Amazon. Whenever you go shopping for vanilla beans, they're gonna be sold as grade A or grade B. And I am not an expert on this, but grade A beans, from my experience, are definitely plumper, they're fuller, they're gonna have more flavor, whereas grade B beans typically are gonna be smaller, thinner, and drier, but they are often sold as extract beans because they can still really work for extract. I recently joined a Facebook group called Indri's Vanilla Bean Group. I'll put a link to it in the description. I am not affiliated with this group whatsoever, and I've not ordered beans from them yet. However, the group has like 140,000 people in it, and they do like bulk buys, and these people are like, they are making vanilla as like a hobby, and so they're testing all different kinds of liquors, all different kinds of origin beans and different things like that. And some of you may not want to dive that deep. You may want to just keep it super simple, in which case I'm giving you enough information to do that. However, if you are the kind of person that really likes to geek out on a thing, I have really enjoyed this group, and they do bulk buys from different regions, and I'm planning on ordering some beans from them in the future. But I will link where I got these beans. So these are Tahitian vanilla beans. I paid $30. This 50 bean package is a little over 4 ounces. So the ratio for extract, the simple bottom line, is that you need 1 ounce of beans to 8 ounces of 70 to 100 proof liquor, and you need to put them together in a sealed container and let them sit for a year. That's like the best way. That's how you are going to get the best product. I have used my extracts before a year. They're not as strong. Typically, if I'm wanting to use them faster, I'll put more beans in. If you want to make what's called a double fold or a triple fold, you just double or triple the number of beans to the same amount of liquor. So 2 ounces of beans and 8 ounces of liquor is double fold, and 3 ounces of beans and 8 ounces of liquor is triple fold. And you would still be aiming to let those sit for a year. The benefit of making a more concentrated vanilla is that you can make a recipe with more vanilla flavor with less added liquid. So if you're making something that doesn't need to have like a whole lot of liquid added to it that might throw off the ratio and the balance of the chemistry of baking or whatever, you can use a double or triple fold and get 1 teaspoon worth of vanilla flavor in a half or a third of a teaspoon. The reason I am starting these now is because I want to give them at Christmas, so they're going to sit this entire year before we crack into them. I know that feels a little bit overwhelming to start something that you're not going to use for a year, but the way that I have done things for now a decade and a half over that is that every winter I re-up my vanilla. It's just something that I'm gonna take the time to do. Last year when I started this, I was uncorking vanilla that had been sitting in my pantry from the previous year. And whenever you get on top of it and you routinely make the stuff, then you always have some. I have a kitchen scale, I have a little bowl here, I have my clean jars, my vanilla beans, as well as my liquor. I actually don't have enough vanilla beans to fill up all of these jars, but I'm just gonna get some of them filled. You don't have to cut or split your beans, but it makes good sense to me that it's going to help them infuse a little faster. So what I do is just start cutting up bits, splitting them in half. Make sure that the inside is exposed. Alright, so I've got 1 ounce of beans here, cut up and measured. It is really important to measure the weight, simply because the grade of your beans is going to make such a big difference. And if I were to just tell you, okay, put these 6 beans in, it might not be the same if you end up with some that are on the drier side. And it can turn out the same, but you just want to use an ounce no matter what. So there's my ounce of beans. Because of the variation in the size of the beans, this may end up being stronger than single fold, because when I put, this is an 8.5 ounce jar, and I would guess that these beans are taking up more space than a 1/2 ounce of liquid does. So we'll see how much liquor I can actually fit in this jar. This is my first time doing it in jars like this. And I'm actually going to pour my liquor into a measuring cup so I can see how much I'm actually putting over. I'm going to start with 6 ounces. No, more than that's going to fit. All right, so 7 ounces fit in this jar with the 1 ounce of beans. So that's gonna make it a little bit stronger than single fold. I've got some stickers here that I was gonna label these with. Always put your date on when you start this. That is one thing about a scratch kitchen. You need to label your jars or you're gonna have a mystery that you have to go through. And of course this would be easy to smell and figure out. But labeling with a date will really allow me to know for sure when I go to use this that it's ready. I accidentally wrote 2023 on the jar though, so I have to fix that. And I'm just gonna repeat these with as many as I can with the beans that I have. I think I have another package of beans. What I do when I'm getting ready to do a project like this, and I know I wanna do a whole lot at once, so that I don't have to budget going and buying all the ingredients at once, I'll just add on, like I've been buying one of these packages a month, and that's why I think I have another one. It probably got put out in my pantry. And then also once a month when I go to Costco, I would buy a thing of the liquor for the extract. Had I bought everything here all at one time, it probably would have cost probably close to $200 or so whenever you consider the jars and everything. By breaking it up, it just makes it a little easier to fit into the budget. I just had one of those light bulb moments where you notice obvious things. I just put one of the jars on the scale and tared it, and now I'm just putting the beans directly into the jar. So it's weighing it as they go in, just takes a step out. So on this one, I used the 1 ounce of beans and was able to fit the full 8 ounces of liquor in. So it really does come down, I think, to just what particular beans you're using and how plump they are. I will typically just, once I get a big jar like this done, I will typically just use it out of the jar. You guys have seen me. My last batch was in a Knob Creek jar. And I will just be pouring out of this big old liquor bottle when I'm baking. And at the end, whenever I'm done, those beans are soaked. And what I like to do with spent beans is take them and like put them in a container of sugar. Take, you know, a handful of beans and put them in sugar and let them sit and infuse. When I'm cooking, sometimes I'll just take one of those spent beans and throw it in. Let's say I can make simple syrup with those, or I've taken a spent bean and thrown it in with like rice pudding, and it's just going to do kind of the same thing as putting extract in. It's just going to add that vanilla flavor. You can take them and scrape out the insides and use that. You can do other things with the beans on the other end and get more value for your money. So I found my third package of beans. The second bag I opened had so much more moisture in them, and I decided to weigh overall, and it's 5.5 ounces. So that original package I had dried out some, forcing me to use more beans, whereas these are gonna actually go a little further. So I knew you were supposed to keep them sealed. That's why. Now you know. Let me be the example. Keep them sealed. I'll probably get more jars today than I had kind of thought at the beginning of this video I was going to. All right, 1 hour later, I have 14 bottles of what will be vanilla extract in a year. I took an hour of my time and then a year's wait. That's the hardest part. Now, each of these bottles has 8 ounces of liquor in it, plus the beans, so they're 8.5 ounce bottles. So I did the calculations, and this is at 50 cents an ounce, roughly, more or less. That's what I paid for that liquor that I used. This is $56 worth in alcohol, and at $7 an ounce, this is $96 worth of vanilla. So totally in this extract here, I've got $154. Now, if I were to purchase this for that $4.80 an ounce at the store, this is $548 worth of vanilla. So that's definitely worth the time invested and the wait. I'm going to take these out to my pantry and put them where they are visible because occasionally I just want to take them and give them a little shake. If you put them in the pantry and don't touch them at all, you'll still get extract, but it doesn't hurt to shake them occasionally while they're sitting. So here it is. I would love your input if you've been making extract. What kind of liquor do you love to use? What ways do you like to use it? Of course, you don't have to do this much at once. You don't have to pay extra for bottles. I didn't calculate that in my costs because you can just do this in mason jars or in the alcohol bottle, as I had said. But even for gift giving, I think that this is a really, really nice gift that I'm giving somebody something of really high value, and it also elevates my own cooking by making my own extract. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.